Hi, I'm Danielle St. Clair, and this is my research project on the impacts of social isolation in teenagers. The global pandemic our world is facing has left millions in feelings of despair and loneliness. The distance created between teenagers and their peers has lasting impacts on how they cope with trauma and drastic worldly events. As the world moves forward through the pandemic, exposing the truths and myths the impact of social isolation has on teenagers has become extremely important. Social isolation has crippling consequences on teenagers' mental health, as evidenced by the positive impacts cooperative learning has, rising suicide rates, and increasing cases of psychiatric care. Many argue that without peer pressure, and therefore social isolation, teenagers are more likely to make fewer bad decisions. As displayed on the screen, peer pressure is stereotypically known to cause teenagers to make poor life decisions when influenced by others. The solution behind this claim revolves around the idea of taking peer pressure out of the question entirely, which would hypothetically result in teens making better decisions for themselves. However, despite its stereotype, peer pressure does not automatically result in poor decision-making. Stepping back and taking a look at how teenagers learn, it's evidently proven that socially isolating teenagers in a learning environment stunts mental development drastically compared to those who are included in environments with social interaction. As explained on the screen, experiments and observational studies have shown that social integration in learning environments creates a positive impact on students in the classroom. These conclusions show the combination of group-based learning and social interaction with learning objectives, showing the highest rate of acceptance and positive attitudes towards the subject and the highest level of achievement among students. So, while peer pressure has a possibility of resulting in negative decision-making, it can also result in positive lifestyle choices just the same. Altogether, the evidence this study shows exemplifies the reason social interaction is necessary in developing minds. In fact, taking away social interaction is much more likely to lead teenagers into dangerous negative situations and decisions. Children and teens that are not able to socially interact in their learning environment are noticeably stunted in social skills and decision-making processes. To further explore this idea, the consequences of long-lasting mental illness are examined. Teenage suicide rates have increased over the years. The results from 40 observational studies, with a majority of those being adolescents and/or young adults, lead researchers to conclude the conditions of either living alone, feeling alone, or lonely were strongly associated with suicidal outcomes. Consistent studies show results of a lack of socialization leading directly to self-harm and suicide. It's critical to understand just how dangerous depression and other mental disorders can become. Small triggers over time and festering mental difficulties can build up and cost someone their life. The dangers of social isolation and distance between humans is a direct contributor to these feelings of loneliness, which can spiral into depression, eventually creating the possibility of suicide. The dangers of mental health are still present even after care has been sought after. Seeking mental facility care is not the end of the problem. Even after patients are discharged, the dangers of their conditions are present. In other words, triggers to mental disorders such as social isolation do not simply stop because of treatment. Analyzing psychiatric care facility statistics shows a significantly increased number of psychiatric cases regarding teenagers and adolescents. It is also shown that even after seeking treatment in these facilities, there's a growing number of cases in which patients previously treated result in suicide. It has become painfully clear that socially isolating children and teenagers is a direct cause of suicide and other mental and emotional issues. Through the results of studies regarding depression, suicidal tendencies, and cooperative learning, researchers have concluded that social isolation is a direct route to depression and other mental disorders. It is important for all to understand that strength is not always a visual experience. As a part of society, every individual should be mindful and hold empathy for mental illness and disorders. Individuals need to start paying more attention to mental illness and those suffering in silence if there is any hope for improving our society in the future. Thank you.